Hello, welcome to our presentation on lessons learned annotating training data for healthcare NLP projects. Together with my colleague Ms. Marian Mack, we are delighted to share our experiences as clinical data annotators, including the lessons learned, challenges encountered, and the actions taken for improvement. Let me introduce myself first. My name is Rebecca Leung. I have a medical degree from Hong Kong, and I have worked for more than 10 years as a physician, specializing in anesthesiology and intensive care medicine. I'm currently based in the US, where I graduated with a PhD in public health. And I'm also teaching health science at the University of Alabama. I've worked for Annotation Labs for about 10 months, and I have been the sole healthcare data annotator for 2 oncology-related projects. Here are the 5 lessons learned during the annotation process as the sole annotator in 2 previous oncology-related projects. A sole annotator means I'm the one and only annotator on the project. First, the importance of annotator's task. The role of the annotator is just as important as everyone else's. Without an annotator, you don't have any data to work on, and you don't have any projects. A good analogy is that an annotator is like the eyes and the heart of the process. We are the eyes because we pick out the important information in a huge number of documents. If data scientists are the brain of the project, we are the heart, which pumps the blood throughout the body and keeps the circulation going. We supply the model with data, just like the heart supplied the brain with blood. After working on 2 projects, I've learned that you need to be able to adjust to the requirements of a client and to understand their needs. It will keep changing, and it also evolves over time. Often, what they requested in the initial statement of work is not what they are asking for in the end. There is always some difference between what the clients think they want and what they really need. It is very important to work closely with your data scientists and learn about the technical terms. For example, if the data is producing a model where it's not performing that well for certain entity, the data scientist and I will discuss and think of ways to improve it. The close collaboration between the annotators and the data scientists result in client success. Good communication is the key to success. We have daily meetings with the client, and we also have regular review meetings with a physician on the client side. This is very important because we need someone with medical training on their side to verify what I'm doing is correct. We use training data as the first small batch of 10 to 15 documents, and we carry out these review meetings with their MD after annotating that small batch of documents at the beginning of the projects. Within our internal JSL team, we also have regular weekly internal meetings with the team lead and our data scientists. Next, let's look at a real-life example of annotations. In one of our projects, the client was actually interested in identification of all patients who were involved in clinical trial. We named this entity a clinical trial. And the definition of this entity is that patients who are involved in any clinical trial or experiments. The labels for extraction include text that we are looking for are things like clinical trial, trial, and experiment, and etc. In the first iteration, here are some possible extractions highlighted in yellow. This is how they would appear within the sentence. So for example, patient X was recruited to participate in the clinical trial conducted by University Y on February the 2nd, 2016. Patient is prescribed experimental drug. The patient was started on a clinical trial AMG 444 at Sarah Research Institute. The patient started the experimental medication BA222. The patient was included in the phase 1 trial with medication Y, and the clinical trial ended on April 12, 2018. So after working on the first batch of around 10 documents, we had our first review meeting involving the MD on the client side. The client then expressed new interest in the code of the clinical trials. So the new changes we had to make in our annotation is highlighted in green. So as you can see, the patient was started on the clinical trial AMG 406 at Sarah Research Institute. So the new changes is in green. The patient started the experimental medication BA222. So the end result was that the code of the clinical trial should be extracted. Then I continued to work on another batch of 10 more documents. Then we had our second review meeting. The client then expressed interest in learning the start and the end date of the clinical trial. So the new changes we can see is highlighted in pink. So let me just move our screen here. So you can see the date also need to be extracted. So patient X was recruited to participate in the clinical trial conducted at University Y on the February 2nd, 2016. This should also be extracted. And the clinical trial ended on April 12, 2018. The end result was that there was addition of 2 new entities, the trial start date and the trial end date. Again, the annotation guideline was constantly updated, and all the client's requests are well documented. In the end, we had around 4 of these review meetings until we agreed on a stable annotation guideline. So in this slide, I've put together a table that shows clearly how our annotation changed between the first up to the 3rd iteration. So what we were extracting in yellow in the original annotation guideline, we can see that as it evolves, new entities are added. So including the specific code of the clinical trial and also the start and the end date of the clinical trial. To make our life easier as annotators, there are some amazing features on the Annotation Lab, the annotation tool, to boost the productivity. These features include the keyboard shortcut hotkeys, color-coded annotations, the easy to change between the different entities, and also the overview list of annotators extractions, which I will show you in the slide that I'm showing next. So the first features was the keyboard shortcut. So we can see them at the top. So we can allocate any alphabet or a number to an entity. And all we have to do to annotate, for example, this diagnosis, we'll highlight this word and then click on this word and then press on the number 7 on our keyboard and then click. And then this word will be extracted as a diagnosis. This is especially very convenient for entities that we are extracting very frequently. The second feature was the color-coded annotations. As you can see, we can allocate different colors to different entities. Not only making this document very colorful and also pretty, it also helps us to find the extractions in the mass of text. It's very easy to see the different entities. For example, the modifier is always orange and the diagnosis is purple. The third feature was the easy to change between the entities. So for example, if we highlight the lymphadenopathy here, and we thought, okay, this is a diagnosis, and then we change our mind and think, it should actually be a symptom. So all we have to do to change from diagnosis to symptom is to click on the word lymphadenopathy, press on the number 6 on our keyboard, and then click again, and then it will change within seconds from a diagnosis to a symptom. Okay, so you can literally change your mistakes very quickly. Finally, we have a list of all our extractions on the right-hand side. So this will give you an overview of the total number of extractions. So you can see here in this document, we extracted 299 entities, and you can see a whole list of all your extractions at a glance. What are some of the challenges encountered and the actions taken? So first, the goal settings can be quite challenging. So as a sole annotator, you have to set your own goals and so that you don't fall behind to a project. So there is a certain degree of freedom, and it's a fine balance between the freedom and your responsibility. Bridging the gap between technical and non-technical people can be tough. Remember, we are healthcare professionals and we are not trained as data scientists. Luckily, help is always available from my team and they are understanding. The cross-cultural setup can create complicated communication and in-between gaps. We are a group of international professionals operating in different time zones. Our chemistry as a team is very important. I do have good people to work with who support me and enable me to grow and become the best annotator I can be. So people are carefully chosen at John Snow Labs, and we come from a wide range of expertise. A big part of our success is sharing experiences with other annotators on other projects. We have internal training workshops and regular best practices meetings. There will be some disagreements between your annotation and what the client wants or think they need. So therefore, you must sit down with a physician on the client side at the initial stage of the project, because it will waste a lot of time and effort if after annotating hundreds of documents, the client said, this is not what we asked for. So as a team of annotators, we come not just with a mechanical function of labeling. We are here to add value to our client by contributing our domain expertise. Lastly, it's very important to update your annotation guideline regularly. Our agreement and disagreement on the guideline should be well documented and when a consensus is reached. They are as important as our constant work on the training data, and because it can lead us to achieve a more precise model. So thank you. Next, I'll hand over to my colleague, Ms. Marian Mack.
Hello, thank you, Rebecca, for such a wonderful presentation. I will start my part now by introducing myself. My name is Marianne. I am a clinical data researcher at John Snow Labs. I have been working with John Snow Labs for over a year now. I am from Egypt. I have been a clinical pharmacist since 2008. Before becoming an annotator, I worked as a pharmacist in healthcare. I have worked also in research and in various vaccinations initiatives. Jon Snow Labs has given me a unique opportunity to work on different projects. There have been a lot of challenges along the way, especially in handling huge clinical data. But I really enjoy working on medical cases, and it's like solving medical mysteries. I really enjoy all aspects of it. As an annotator working with a team, as opposed to Rebecca earlier, who's a sole annotator, there are a lot of lessons learned working on NLP healthcare projects, but I will sum them up in just 3 lessons. First lesson is that we have to fine-tune how we think while working on annotation projects. When annotating a medical document, we need to think as a human, of course. Also, we need to think how the machine learns, so we can train the machine. It's like training it to think like a human being and to understand our language, so it can give us the best predictions. In addition to this point, we need to fully understand the purpose and the annotation guidelines of the project we are working on, as each purpose is tailored to meet requirements of each company, which normally differs from one company to another. Second lesson is the importance of having a stable and solid annotation guidelines. A stable annotation guidelines is particularly important for the success of the model. But the question is, how do we make it stable? Here are 3 quick tips to make it stable. Number 1, by having regular meetings with the annotation team and specifically the data science team to discuss annotation encountered questions, challenges, and things to avoid, etc. Number 2, adding training data is very useful in setting consistency to our annotations as a team. Number 3, increasing inter-annotator agreement percentage is a key to achieving a precise training model, and it is achieved by excelling in the 2 previously mentioned steps. We cannot forget to mention here the importance of teamwork, which is an excellent aspect when it comes to working with Jon Snow Labs. My third lesson is speaking about teamwork at Jon Snow Labs, where collaboration is truly a culture. This was the case in the projects I have worked on in Jon Snow Labs, where we worked as a team of annotators, not just individual persons. A big part of our success is that we get to learn more about different fields of medicine. We got to tap on each other's expertise and share our experiences, as every one of us excels in their own field. And that led us to reach a mutual understanding and satisfaction with our extracted data. This is an example of one of the features of Annotation Lab called View All Completions. It compares all completions of different annotators to one clinical text. In this example here, the annotator on the left extracted diagnosis as just injury, while the annotator on the right extracted the location too, so diagnosis became left plantar injury. So this difference of the same extraction will definitely lower inter-annotator agreement and hence a less precise model. So this feature can increase our inter-annotator agreement percentage by finding differences in annotations. And these differences have to be jointly decided to always be the same by the team, which results in higher inter-annotator agreement and hence a precise model. This feature has another use, as it can be used as a training tool for new annotators, where they can compare their own annotations to a senior annotator's document and learn from them. This is how Annotation Lab tool dashboard looks like. From an annotator's point of view, I can say that the layout is truly clear and easy to use. The labels are set at the front of the page, right within reach. The hotkeys feature work exceptionally well and are not just for scrolling purposes like other tools. Like when deleting an entry extracted by mistake, you just need to click the entry and then press backspace and it's deleted. There is also another important feature which is the pre-annotation feature. This page is an example of pre-annotation. It's freshly opened and it already has pre-annotated labels, as you can see. So we will just go through it and edit it. It is designed to make our work faster, efficient, and more productive. Another feature in the tool is the relations feature. We use it to relate one entity to another, like relating a medication name to its dose and its frequency and route. Also, there is sort feature, which filters a specific entity we need to filter, like symptoms, medications, gender, etc. Lastly, things to improve. There are always things to improve even in the best work scenarios. These are 4 points. Point number 1, like said before, keeping regular meetings with annotators and data science team, in addition to a more frequent offline inter-annotator communication, so the modifications or updates are done by team jointly, is particularly important. Number 2, training sessions are crucial. They give a great insight to the annotators, especially new members, and a great understanding of their missions on a specific project. Number 3, tool enhancement. Additional features can be added to benefit the client, as we do at Jon Snow Labs. We continue to commit to add enhancement and improvement to our tool to benefit our clients and make it easier for the annotators to speed up the process, make it more efficient, and make users reach their deadlines. Number 4, the use of pre-annotations and its role in speeding up the process and making it more efficient. At Jon Snow Labs, we use automated pre-annotations. As Spark NLP for healthcare comes with more than 300 pre-trained out-of-the-box models, you should try our pre-annotation feature and see how it can make your projects beat your deadline. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.